I'm J.R. Church. Welcome to today's analysis of the news. Well, the Middle East is again front and center these days. Tomorrow is Israel's election, and Benjamin Netanyahu is expected to win by a wide margin. A few weeks ago, we learned that an Iranian ship was hauling munitions to Gaza, and it was boarded by the United States military and checked, and we found all these weapons. In fact, it contained 10 containers of Iranian rockets and other weapons for rearming the Hamas in the Gaza Strip in violation of Israel's terms for accepting a Gaza ceasefire last month. Well, according to this news article, Tehran is preparing to send a number of vessels, arms vessels, to break the blockade Israel has on Gaza, encouraged, of course, by the failure of the United States, Egyptian, and Israeli navies to confiscate the arms aboard the Cypriot-flagged arms ship now docked at Limassol. I think that's in Cyprus. The Iranians calculate that while not all the ships may get through the Israeli naval blockade, one would suffice. Some are already on the way, and they're expected to enter the Gulf of Suez and waters over Gaza. They were expected over this last weekend, and to try to drop their cargo containers offshore. Israeli warships and spy planes are tracking them. Ehud Barak also disclosed that the Cypriot officials or authorities are unloading the Iranian ship's load and in the Limassol harbor, and have discovered that it is in contravention of the UN Security Council sanctions resolution 1747, which bans Iranian arms supply. Well, Netanyahu, being expected to win tomorrow, has sent a secret message to the Hamas. He said that once he is in power, if the Hamas continues their rocket campaign, he will not hesitate to eliminate the terror group's leadership, both in Gaza and in Syria. The warning is particularly strong since Hamas's leadership in Syria is protected by the Damascus regime. Israel traditionally shies away from threatening attacks on Syrian soil. The Jewish state took great care during its 2006 war against Hezbollah in Lebanon not to strike targets too close to the Syrian border for fear of bringing on a larger conflict. Netanyahu has conveyed the secret message to Hamas through a third Arab party, in which he states he will undoubtedly be Israel's prime minister next week. Ahmed Yosef, Hamas's chief political advisor in Gaza, said, "We don't care what Netanyahu says. We don't pay any attention to these threatening statements." Now, earlier this week, a long-range Grad rocket fired from Gaza landed in the strategic port city of Ashkelon, which houses an electricity plant that supplies about 70% of Gaza's power. And so they're getting awfully close. In fact, one of the rockets last week landed between a couple of Israeli kindergartens. Aside from his policy on Gaza, Netanyahu said his primary goal as prime minister would be to halt Iran's drive toward obtaining nuclear weapons, describing Iran as the biggest threat facing Israel since the state's founding in 1948. He said this at an international conference last week, and he said, "We will act on a real level in order to neutralize this danger." Well, things are continuing against Israel. Israel is on the defensive against these enemies to this very day. It didn't matter that they nearly wiped out the Hamas infrastructure a few weeks ago. In our February 2009 edition of Prophecy in the News magazine, Gary Stearman has written an article called "Gaza, the Thorn in Israel's Side." And he gives the background on this whole affair that Israel has with the Palestinian people and, of course, what the Bible has to say about it. He refers to the first 2 chapters of the prophecy of Zephaniah, and he mentions, of course, that Gaza figures very prominently in end-time prophecy. There may not be much about the United States in Bible prophecy concerning the end time, but there's a lot to be said about Gaza. So I would encourage you to get this magazine and to read the article Gary has. It's our cover story for the February 2009 edition. You can call 1-800-475-1111 and order this magazine by itself for $2.95, and we'll pay the postage. Or you can subscribe for the entire year and receive a complimentary bonus of 4 free books. Let me just show them to you here. The Mystery of the Menorah and the Hebrew Alphabet, Hidden Prophecies in the Song of Moses, They Pierced the Veil and Saw the Future, Study of the 12 Minor Prophets, and then Guardians of the Grail. That's the Holy Grail we're talking about, European legend. And The Men Who Plan to Rule the World. This is about European royalty and the possible rise of the Antichrist. Now, these 4 books can be yours absolutely free if you will subscribe to Prophecy in the News magazine. You can also catch a couple of articles in our latest magazine just below, and I'd encourage you to look it over. In fact, you can read the article on Gaza, and also my commentary on the ancient book of Enoch. Just look down the page here a ways and click on the articles. I'm J.R. Church. See you again tomorrow with our analysis of the news.